I'm Didar Islam, a master's student in geography at the University of Saskatchewan. Today I'm going to present my master's thesis. The topic of my thesis is to assessing community bioenergy development potential in northern and remote indigenous community, which was conducted under the guidance and supervision of Professor Bram Noble. The inner presentation is divided into 5 different segments, which consisting the background, which includes the research context, purpose, and objectives. Then the research design and methods, from where I wanted to show the development of assessment framework, study area context, and the research methods. Then the research findings, key takeaway messages from the findings, and the conclusion will be highlighted. We know that indigenous communities living in northern Canada as well as the circumpolar north have been enduring energy insecurity for decades. In Canada only, it is reported that more than 250 off-grid communities exist, among which 170 are indigenous, who relies on the diesel fuel for heating and electricity. These off-grid communities is suffering from energy insecurity because of the limited fuel supply and the high energy expense, which is usually 6 to 10 times higher than the national average. And because there is no gas distribution network in the northern areas, so they are dependent on the electricity or the fossil fuel for the energy. So we know that the burning of fossil fuel has greenhouse gas emission effects, which is affecting the global climate change. Even northern grid-connected communities also suffering from energy insecurity because of the limited transmission capacity, aging infrastructure, and the high energy expense as well. Due to natural phenomena, fire event, even the storm events, the communities sometimes of power outage is happening for a day, even sometimes up to a week. So they are also facing the energy insecurity issues. So access to affordable and clean energy is very vital for these communities, for strengthening the energy security challenges for these communities. So we know that community renewable energy, which is usually generated by using the local resources and in the user side, so it has a great potential to facilitate the energy security challenges for these off-grid communities. So why are we thinking for the bioenergy for that community? Because of the 70% of the indigenous communities in Canada living in the boreal forest zone. So there are plenty of resources. And it's a carbon neutral energy. Even we are thinking for the forest residues to energy, which is following the circular economy principle. And the other issues is also for the same for the other renewable energy as well, like the bottom-up energy initiative for the community level. It can decentralize from the centralized distribution. Even it can provide cheap electricity and can strengthen the community empowerment. The purpose of this research is to assess bioenergy potential of forest residues for the development of community renewable energy in northern and remote indigenous community. The specific objectives of my research is to explore the state of scholarship on current approaches to community bioenergy potential assessment for advancing a conceptual framework in northern context. Then to apply this conceptual framework to assess community bioenergy potential for a PBCN community in northern Saskatchewan as a case study application. And third objective is to find out the technical challenges and constraints of community bioenergy potential assessment and development in the north. So while I go for my first objectives, I wanted to get the bioenergy potential assessment types, methods, approach, and the critical factors from the literature. So I find that bioenergy potential assessment usually divided into 2 broad spectrum, is the theoretical potential and the technical potential. Technical potential consisting of, again, the 4 types is the resource potential, assessment of energy production potential, economic potential, and environmental aspects. So when I goes for the approach, so basically 3 approach is used for the bioenergy potential assessment. One is the resource focus approach. The resource focus approach highlighted the quantity of biomass resources which can be transformed into energy. And so it's performed by the GIS based and the statistical analysis. So they only focus on the how much biomass is available for that areas to generate the finally ultimate goals for the energy conversion. And the second wing is the demand-driven approach, where it's focused on the economic analysis, which can be performed through the cost supply analysis and the energy system modeling. Some authors also use the integrated assessment, right? They could integrate both of these approaches. Some critical factors should consider when we go for the bioenergy potential assessment. So these factors including the availability of biomass resources in the specific areas, types of biomass for bioenergy production, applicable local laws, regulation, biodiversity, ecological perspective, existing land use scenarios with the competition with others, the local biomass demand, and the climate and natural phenomena, and technological consideration, cost of bioenergy production, environmental and sustainability aspects, they should be considered. So based on these types, methods, and critical factors, we develop an integrated framework which will go for the application for the PBCN community. So this is include all the resource focus, demand driven. Even we consider the local laws, community values, supply demand and economic aspect, and the environmental and sustainability aspects. So all of this includes. So by following this integrated approach, we will go for the next step to apply it in the PBCN communities who is exploring community energy development. So the PBCN, who is PBCN, is a First Nation government band. They occupy 51,000 kilometers square land in northeast Saskatchewan, consisting of 8 communities. The total population of the community is 11,572 approximately, and the community is high heating load because of the I already told about that, the electrical building heating, no gas distribution network of that areas. So except Kinoswa, among the 8 communities, all of the other communities is connected to the northern Saskatchewan power grid, but they're characterized by the aging infrastructure, seasonal natural event, and storm event. Even I already mentioned about the no gas distribution network. Among these 8 communities, Southern is focused in this study for assessing the community bioenergy potential assessment, who is located in the boreal zone of Saskatchewan. The population of the community consisting of 1,052. The mean annual temperature of that areas for the community location is -4, and winter is very long, with average temperature -20 to 30 degrees Celsius. They usually heated via electrically, propane, and wood stove for the heating purpose. Based on the Saskatchewan energy consumption data of 2020, household annual electricity consumption of that community is 7,886.43 megawatt hour, and the highest consumption is found in the December, in the winter month. It is projected that a 1 megawatt bioenergy facility, if we can develop for that community, and it's operating at 90% operation hours among the whole 65 days, and if we consider 10% days for the routine maintenance, so a megawatt facility can feed the community energy demand. This is the technical flowchart of research methods. So we did the 4 specific assessment type for the technical, with the resource potential, which is performed by the GIS based estimations. So we considered 50 kilometer boundary from the community, but as we consider the township grid zone, so it extended up to 65 kilometers in east and west. Then we excluded the legally restriction zone to get the potential harvestable biomass resources. We considered 18 oven dry ton per hectare for the clear cut harvest, estimate the residues, and 1.2% annual harvestable quota by following the Cold Lake First Nation. They have a biomass resource facility. By following their estimations, we goes for the residue estimation. Then this residue we got for the energy production potential. So we following the Meadow Lake Tribal Council. They have a bioenergy center. So from there they are using the technology which can be adopted for our study, and we go for the scenario-based assumption to estimate the bioenergy potential, and then from this estimations, if we find it's higher, so then we go for the further supply cost analysis, and we go for the optimization and environmental estimation. So when we go for the environmental estimation, we use the greenhouse gas mitigation potential of bioenergy development, which we follow the bioenergy greenhouse gas calculator developed by Natural Resources Canada. So this is the results for the availability of local biomass resources. So from this 50 kilometer boundary, we got the 919 and 779 forested land. So when we exclude the legally inaccessible zone, so we got this 613 and 966 hectare forested land, excluding the legal inaccessible zone and the community concerned area. So by applying 18 overridden hectare, this amount of residue we can get, and when we apply the 1.2% quota, so we get this 132 and 670 overridden per hectare forest residue, which we will next go for the energy production potential. We know that energy, from the literature, we get that energy production potential of biomass usually depends on the application of conversion technology, which technology are using, and the heating value of biomass. Because we don't know which kind of technology will we go for, and what types of biomass residue we will get from that area. So we go for the scenario-based approach for that thing. We consider combustion steam turbine and gasification combined cycle, which is widely used for the bioenergy production purpose, and we consider both the high and low conversion efficiency and heating value scenario. So we got 4 different scenarios, like the high conversion efficiency, high heating value, high conversion efficiency, low heating value, low conversion efficiency, high heating value, and low conversion efficiency, low heating value. So 4 different scenarios. So we got the highest energy can be produced in the first picture from the gasification combined cycle, which is 329 and 22 megawatt hour per ton. So based on this estimation, we go for the how much installation capacity we can be established for that areas. So we get the maximum 41.73 from the gasification, and even if we consider the lowest thing, still is 14.1 megawatt from gasification technology. So we get that the community need only 1 megawatt, but still we have plenty of biomass residues. So there is an option for the optimization. Next, we goes for the, based on the supply demand, we goes for the optimization. So which is done for 3 different ways. One is for the increasing distance from the community, then the increasing distance from the road network, and the optimal thing. So when it goes for the increasing distance from the community, we get that when 20 kilometer distance from the community, we can get the sufficient amount of biomass to meet the community energy demand. Even when we go for the distance from the road, as the 5 kilometer is far enough. If we go for the distance from the road, we can get the sufficient amount of biomass. And the third optimization is performed based on the both the distance from the road and community. You get the highly optimal, medium optimal, and low optimal zone. Except these 2 scenarios, the low conversion efficiency, high heating value, and low conversion efficiency and high heating value, we can get from the highly optimal zone, can get the sufficient amount of biomass to meet the community energy demand. Then we goes for the supply cost analysis. It's evaluate the economic viability of biomass feedstock, cost usually associated with the biomass supply for energy production. So we generate the cost supply curve. So delivered again is the 30 kilometer and 5 kilometer distance, because the 30 kilometer why considered, because the low conversion efficiency when we considered, we have to go up to 30 kilometer and 5 kilometer. So cost benefit shows upward trend with the increasing amount of biomass supply, and we get the $31.9 per ton and for the 30 kilometer distance and 27.4 for the 5 kilometer distance. So influencing factor behind the biomass supply cost increase with the transportation cost, distance, community road network, and we find if supply requires to extend further, delivery costs need to go up and increase the overall production cost of electricity. This is the greenhouse gas mitigation potential which we get. So in Saskatchewan, you know, almost 81% electricity is produced from fossil fuel. Saskatchewan, the leading power provider of the province, is typically relies on 43% for natural gas and 30% for coal to generate the electricity. So we use the greenhouse gas mitigation potential of bioenergy as a substitute for the coal and natural gas in estimated for 100-year time period under different assumption and scenario which we used before. So these are the model parameters which we input into the calculator. So we get that these two scenarios, 4 and 4 scenarios for two different coal and natural gas. So when we applied for the biomass high efficiency and coal high efficiency, we get the atmospheric benefit. Even the highest benefit we get from the highest high efficient biomass and low efficient coal scenarios. But when we go for the low efficient biomass and low efficient coal, there is no net atmospheric benefit will be achieved. So when we go for the natural gas, so for low biomass, no atmospheric benefit. High biomass and low efficient natural gas, we get the atmospheric benefit. Even the biomass high efficient and natural gas high efficient, still we can get after 45 years we get the atmospheric benefits. So from these findings is to get the atmospheric benefit, definitely need to establish the high efficient technology. Viability of community bioenergy development for Southern. So based on the availability of harvestable biomass resources, probability of harvesting tenure was finally we estimated. So we got that. So when we considered this, so approximately 83.34 years we can get the harvestable biomass resources. So according to Natural Resource Canada, this says that trees growing in natural forest usually takes 40 to 100 years to mature. So it can be assumed that within this time period, replanted tree in the commercially managed forest can be grown into mature forest, and it can be harvested again. So it can be said that the development of renewable energy, biomass-based renewable energy for Southern, it will be give a long-term energy security for Southern, and even it can give enough time to replanting and regeneration of the forest. So what are the key takeaway message or the lesson from we get from this study? So one is that for the data constraint, because of in the northern areas there is a limited past studies have been conducted. Even it's very challenging for the meaningful engagement of the indigenous communities because of their unique cultural protocols and worldviews. Second one is we get the bioenergy potential assessment under uncertainty. It's not for only for Southern, even for the other communities where have a data constraint, even for the uncertain technological choice, undetermined biomass, labor cost, way of transportation, scenario-based approach can provide an informative role. Even it can give a multiple scenario, range of options, opportunities, challenges. Community can put a different scenario and they can choose the best one for them. Then third one is the necessity of appropriate technology. It's required careful consideration in the planning and community energy planning because it's very vital for not only for the energy production, it's also for the economic and environmental benefits. Biomass supply, demand, opportunities and challenges. So we get that the community has substantial amount of biomass resources. So there is a prospect for energy sharing with the other PDCN communities as well. It can boost the local economy, strengthen community empowerment, create job opportunities. Even it can reduce the power loss from the long distance transmission. We find from the literature, according to International Energy Agency, they say globally 3% of carbon dioxide emission comes from only from the power loss. So there's a great opportunity to reduce the power loss from the sharing the community energy with the other nearby communities. But it has some challenges. It's not like a solar or wind power where resources available. But for the biomass, we need to consider the transportation. Even it's close to the community, we cannot get the biomass because of the lake or other natural barriers. So the cost factor is the findings. We get that increasing cost is increased with the quantity of feedstock supply and the relevant expenditure. It's an interesting thing we got that cost factor also increase also depends on the application of conversion technology, because low efficient technology always requires high volume of biomass. It burns more biomass, need to supply more biomass, increasing cost factor. Even it can increase the emission factor as well, because they emit huge amount of unburned shoots and the carbon dioxide. And sustainability aspects. So based on this study, we get that community bioenergy development for the boreal community especially is very sustainable, and long term they can meet the energy security challenge community facing. In conclusion, I can say that the proposed integrated framework provides a comprehensive evaluation of bioenergy potential in Southern, considering all the technical, economical, environmental, and sustainability aspects, which is very crucial to assess in the early stage of community energy planning. Community energy sufficiency can be achieved by harvesting biomass residues within 20 kilometers from Southern and 5 kilometers from the existing road infrastructure. By prioritizing high efficient conversion technology, community can maximize energy yields while minimizing supply cost and environmental impacts. I am grateful. I wanted to acknowledge University of Saskatchewan, CASIS, West Canada, Co-Mapping Solution, MITEX, and PVCN for institutional, technical, and financial support for this study. My special thanks and gratitude goes for my supervisor, Professor Bram, Professor Greg, and Dr. Tayyab for their guidance and supervisions. And I also want to thankful to Jackie, Silas, Omar from West Canada, Rebecca James, and Kibi from Co-Mapping Solution for their engagement in this study. These are the references I cited before, and thanks for your patience.